Okay. So we're continuing on. I think this is exciting for me to go through these Parshas and really see how the development of Klal Yisrael is really how it's developed in these Parshas from Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and the development, how Klal Yisrael is being developed is kind of a microcosm of the creation of the world and how Hashem really wants what the purpose of the world is. So we say Maisa Avosim and Labanim that the Avos they really didn't have their own agenda. They were really just kind of this Merkava and they were being guided by Hashem, and the tests that they had were external to them. They didn't have these internal struggles. There were external struggles that the world around them gave them, that Hashem gave them to face, the Nisyonos, and they're dealing with them and how they overcame them in their life and their avoda. That is what's been that's how the mitzvahs and how our avoda, our whole avoda, all our Torah, all our avoda is really stemming from the piping and the foundations that the avos laid based on just who they were and how they moved through the world. So we talked last week about how Avram and Yitzchak, they both had kids that didn't work out. They both had kids that were not going to be a part of Klal Yisrael. And when we say Klal Yisrael, what I mean is this group of people that will fulfill what God's point of creating the world was to do. They will be the executors of that plan. It's ultimately a global plan. But it will be carried out through the Jewish people. And so Avram had Yishmael, who didn't participate, who's not part of Klal Yisrael, and Yitzchak had Esav, who also is not part of Klal Yisrael. But Yaakov's the first Av, who in this week's parsha has all the Shvatim, and none of his children are excluded from the group of Klal Yisrael. So Yaakov is really the semel. He's really, as the Rebbe says, he's the semel. He's the sign of finally Klal Yisrael in its purest form. Okay, Avram was not Klal Yisrael in its purest form. He still had a Yishmael in him that needed to be kind of exercised. And Yitzchak was not the purest form because he still had an Esav in him that needed to be purified. Yaakov and ultimately Yisrael, they have they're kind of carrying the mantle. He's carrying the mantle, and all of his children. He's the father whose all their children are part on the program and part of Klal Yisrael. Okay. That's not news. So we spoke about last week that really how Hashem, just trying to figure out how to go with this. If we just start here and then go to mass, the macrocosm, or start with the macrocosm and go in. But so we talked about last week that Avram, right, Chesed, Yitzchak, Gvura. Chesed is this, this overwhelming, just giving. And Gvura is the kind of containment, and the if there's Hisarusa Dilatela and Hisarusa Dilatata, if there's an awakening from above or awakening from below. So the awakening from above is Hashem kind of raining down his chesed and his bracha and his wakening up from above that we are awoken. But as soon as the inspiration leaves us, then we are left unchanged. We've had this experience of Hashem's chesed, but then we are left basically unchanged and then need to do the work, when we have a flash of inspiration, so this is it's just a flash. We're left having experienced this flash, but ultimately the same people that need to then kind of then go to Gevura to then kind of how in ourselves can we internalize and unearth in ourselves what the connection to Hashem. So Chesed is Hashem's bringing down from him, and Gevura is the experience of integrating and uncovering from below ourselves to transform ourselves, to actually become transformed. And Yaakov is that harmony, right? He's Tiferes. So you have Chesed on one side, which is the right side, and Gevura on the left side, and Yaakov representing Tiferes, which is in the middle, is kind of the balance and the integration of both of those factors, the Chesed, the up and the down, and then kind of that integration and being that kind of fully integrated connection with God. Yeah.
What's Gevura in this?
Gevura is like discipline. It's like discipline. It's boundary. It's masculinity. Like it's gavrut, like strength. And so Yitzchak was, that he was not like Avram Avinu. Avram, was this charismatic figure, chesed, just love and just see the love everywhere. Yitzchak Avinu was this element of that. It's very much internal and working from the inside out, a completely authentic, integrated, underneath, work, and with the idea that there is nothing that is, there's no entitlement. Gevura, chesed is, Hashem, just love and all of this, and just expecting everything to be amazing. Gevura is, it doesn't matter what anything is. I am not entitled to anything. I'm not entitled to anything. And so whatever I get is great. Whatever I get is from Hashem. Seeing that kind of in the definition, in the discipline. To be able to unearth the power that lies within. And then Yaakov is the harmony of this. He has the Torah, and he also took Esav's avoda, which is to go out into the world. And so let's talk about that, because basically this mirrors how Hashem created the world. Okay, this mirrors this Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is exactly mirroring the purpose of creation. Okay, so let's get into a sicha here that is discussing Yaakov's the beginning of Yaakov's journey. Yaakov's journey, really, we talked a lot about that when we learned the Maimer of the Rebbe, that there was first the Yetzias Mitzrayim, where Hashem kind of got everybody, with all the miracles that broke nature, and Hashem came to us in a very elaborate and very show-stopping kind of way, and in a certain sense coerced us, through this very overwhelming experience of miracle and revelation, overwhelmed us and coerced us to follow him and be, I'm saying coercing a little bit tongue in cheek, but he made such a sign for us how much choice did we have but to follow him and to take the Torah and the miracles and going into Eretz Yisrael and having all of these, the miracles in the temple, only that should come to an end. And there's Gullus. There is now exile that we've been suffering for 2,000 years. We've been in for 2,000 years. And that is, so there's leading up to the final redemption. And we talked about the final redemption will be, as opposed to in Egypt, where everything was just like so visible, where everything was so, Hashem broke nature, and there were these supernatural events that were clearly visible because nature was broken. The final redemption will not have miracles that will break nature, but all the miracles will be within nature. It'll be during a very hidden time. And that
hidden time or heated time?
Hidden. God will be hidden. Okay, God will be so hidden, and so this is and why does God have to be so hidden? Why does God have to be so hidden? So that the ultimate goal of Hashem's creation of the world is that we should have a face-to-face relationship. that we should be the integration of Ruchnius and Gashmius, the Achdus Hashem, the unity of Hashem through physicality and spirituality. We think God is spiritual and the physical is not God. But the redemption, the ultimate purpose of creation is really to see that there's no other power than God. That God is higher than both spirituality and physicality. He's higher than also spirituality. He's not just he's both spirituality and physicality. Those are both him equally. And a big problem is we think, oh, God's way up there. God is disparate and disconnected from our creation and our existence. Whereas the reality is that there is nothing else but Hashem's power. And the purpose of creation is to live with that consciousness that there is no other power than Hashem. I am living 24/7 with Hashem. There is no other power. That's the purpose of creation for Hashem. He wanted a dira b'tachtonim. He wanted a comfortable living place in this lowest world, this physical world, which has this physical manifestation and sense of otherness and where there's me and there's you and there's definition and there's limit and there's boundary and we think that the physical world is hiding and obstructing God's light. We can't see it. We have to work for it. We have to claw our way through the physical world to insist that Hashem is here. To insist that Hashem is also here. I make a bracha over this coffee to remind myself and to acknowledge, to be in line with reality, that Hashem is providing me with this drink. It's exactly Hashem providing me with this drink. And all of the power that this drink is doing to make me, on my taste buds, in my hydration, my ATP, whatever it is singularly handled by the Rebbeinu Shalom. End of story. And even though it's hidden, that's the point, to see through the hiddenness, through the variety and limit and multiplicity. These all look like independent, individual bodies here with their own kochos and their own power and their own abilities. And so to see through all that variety, through all that diversity, through all that obstacle, and to see that really there's only Hashem. And so that's where we're getting to with Yaakov. Okay, and just like the Torah, the story of the Jewish people starts with revelation and then goes to hidden, right? We had the revelation of Egypt, we had the revelation of Matan Torah, of giving the Torah on Mount Sinai, and we had the revelations in the temples with God, miracles and the prophets and everything like that, to come to a very abrupt end. We have the exile after the second temple, and we are out. We are in the world, in the hidden world, Gullus, and that is where our final redemption will come at the end of. Not at the end of being in the temple, and all the miracles, and then final redemption comes. No, final redemption is coming only after both Beis HaMikdashes are destroyed, where we're left without miracles, where we're left without Hashem at all, right? A very Purim place. A very Purim place, the end of the Jewish year, Purim, where God's name doesn't even appear anywhere. Okay, so that's where we are with Yaakov. And you see, indeed, that Yaakov went from a place of Yoshev, Ishtam Yoshev Oalim. He was a Shiva Bacher. He was a very mutzlach Shiva Bacher. He was an Ilui. He was going to be the Rosh Hashiva's son-in-law. He was the guy. He was the best guy in yeshiva. He was a masmid. He learned day and night, right? And now he's going out. Vayeitzei. He has to go out. Go out of the base medrash, and go into the real world and deal with the real world. And this is the journey that we see Yaakov take in this week's Parsha, going from being a yeshiva bacher, going into the real world and to work in the jungle of the world. And that is a microcosm of the journey of the Jewish people. We see that there was Abraham, but he's not the Jewish people fully. He still is Ishmael. Then we have Yitzchak, the hiddenness, right? Avram Avinu is the chesed, representing the light that Hashem wants to be seen in the world. Yitzchak represents the gevura, the restriction of that light, that Hashem, in order for Hashem's purpose to be fulfilled, that light has to be restricted, constricted, hidden, so that we can find it, so that we can reveal it, so that we can come to it from a place of wanting, from a place of being, not coercion, but of consenting and wanting and loving and having that face-to-face relationship. So that constriction is required. So once you have that light, and then it's restricted, which are both equal parts Hashem. They're both Hashem's powers. He has the power to shine light, and he has the power to restrict light. Those are the two main godly powers. And so you have Avram, you have Yitzchak, you have this dynamic of light that's restricted to be found. Now you have Yaakov. And what happens first? First, he's involved in the Torah, and he's learning, he's Ishtam Yoshev Oyalim. And now Vayeitzei, and now he goes out. Okay, so we're going to see this is the making of the Jewish people. And not only is this the making of the Jewish people, because at the end of the day, Yitzchak has 12 kids, right? He makes the base, he makes Klal Yisrael. This week's Parsha, he goes out, he's very matzliach, and he makes the Jewish people. He makes the Jewish people. Klal Yisrael, the 12 tribes, here it is. And he did that only after going out. So we see that Yaakov Avinu, the story of Yaakov, is the story of the Jewish people. It's the story of the Jewish people. So what are we learning about the story of the Jewish people? What is this teaching us? Any questions until we jump in? Okay. All right. There are a lot of good ideas over here. So let's see if we can start and see some different things. Okay. So we see, and we wonder why it was so difficult for Yaakov, right? Yeah, it says Avram was the first one to become Jewish, Yitzchak was the first one to be born Jewish, and Yaakov was the first one to be thrown out because he was Jewish. Okay, so Yaakov really had to run away, right? He was forced to leave. He had to run away from Esav, and he was left penniless. He had no money, right? Elitzaphan, Esav's son, ambushed Yaakov on his way out and stole everything he had. He had zero. He had nothing to his name. He was starting out at zero. Okay, and the question is why did he have to go through such a difficult situation? And what can we learn from the order of what Yaakov does? Okay. So we want to take understanding. We're Yaakov. We're going out in the world. We're doing the work of the world. What do we do first? Right? Well, Yaakov, really what he did first was he learned for 14 years at the yeshiva of Shem and Rebber. But then he knew that before he was going, he learned his whole life, but he was very intensely learning for 14 years before he really set out. So that's this, he had this revelation. He had the Matan Torah. He had everything. He was with Hashem. He understood, but he was not, so he was like, you understand, like, he got the inspiration, he got the chesed, he was living in that world, but now he had to integrate in the world, because Hashem, the point of Hashem is not that we live in an ivory tower, surrounded by Gemaras, and we're just totally disconnected from the world. We learn about Netilas Yadayim, we learn about kashrus, we learn about business, we learn about but we don't engage. We're not engaging in the world. That is not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants us engaged in the world. All these halachas, all these mitzvahs, the reason they touch every single facet of our lives and of existence and reality is because Hashem wants integration. He doesn't want the physical world to be a hindrance to revelation. He wants the physical world to be a vehicle of that revelation. And in order for that to be revealed, we have to go first through the darkness in order to pull that out. And that's what Yaakov's doing right now. He's Vayeitzei. He's going out to pull out that in the physical world. What does he do first? Vayifka b'makom. What's Vayifka b'makom? He davens. That's what Yitzchak does first. What Yaakov does first. He prays. Pegia el tefillah, right? Ein pegia el tefillah. He entered this place. He's on his way to Lavan's house, and he davens. L'char b'darka l'char limsoi es zivugav hayel l'chol rosh lilmon tzvas Medina. Right? If he's going to Haran, he's going to Lavan, he's got to figure out how they talk, what the language they speak is. He has to open up a tick with the government, that he's working now, and so he can pay taxes, and he's got to get a passport, or a green card. Like he's got to deal with real life. But when a Jew is planning to build a Beis Yisrael, a Jewish house, I was dealing with Torah, I was learning my whole life, I was dealing with tefillah and with doing mitzvahs as best I could. But now I'm going out into the world. Maybe I need to just, chapter 1 closed, and now chapter 2 is I go to the Misrad Pnim, I go to the tax bureau, I go to the different offices and figure out, go to the Ulpan, I learn what the rules are, I become a lawyer, I figure out how to live properly in the world, in the real world, right? Not in the base medrash. But Parshas say lo. Our Parshas come and say, no, that's not what you do. You want to be successful? The first thing you do is you daven to Hashem. You daven to Hashem. You thought, okay, I davened enough when I was in yeshiva. I learned enough when I was in yeshiva. Now I should just, figure out how to, do accounting. Hashem says, no. Now you even need tefillah even more. All your learning, all your davening in yeshiva, that didn't cut it. When you go out to the olam, you have to be in the difficult jungle of the physical world. He needs to daven to Hashem for help. That's Aleph. Okay? That's the first thing. Davening. We have to daven to Hashem for help. Davening is coming from a place of an awareness that we are not in control, that Hashem is in control. Hashem is in control. We are going out into the world with a purpose to transform the multiplicity into oneness, the darkness into light, to bring out the light from within the darkness. This is the point of the world that we're in now. That's what the job is, not to make a lot of money and be able to build yeshivas or something. Oh, because I want a good kitchen, I want a nice living room, but and a nice car, but I'll give some money to yeshiva also because I want a nice car. No, we're dealing in the world in order to help Hashem's process of making a dir b'tachtonim, to uncovering the divinity and the oneness and unity through the multiplicity, through engaging the multiplicity with the Torah, through engaging the multiplicity, through engaging Gashmias and Ruchnias with the Torah, with halachas, with Hashem. That is how we do it. That's how we do it. So first we daven. Kasher, right? Yaakov daven. Kasher haya Yaakov v'darka l'charan v'yikach mi'avnei hamakam v'yasem rishosov. So what did Yaakov do? He laid down and he made a bed for himself. And what did he do? He took stones and he placed these stones above his head, around his head. He slept with this kind of like pillow, of rocks around his head to protect his head from wild animals. Okay? So the question is, what do you mean he put these rocks around his head? So on one hand, if he was relying on Hashem, and he was soymech on Hashem that he's going to protect him from wild animals, then he shouldn't. What is he doing this thing with the rocks? And if he's not relying on Hashem, then what are you doing? Just doing your head. If you're worried about wild animals, you should put a boundary around your whole body. If you're trying to protect yourself, protect your whole self. What do you mean? The Chayes Rose, you're just worried about them eating your head, but you're not worried about them eating your limbs? What was he doing? What game was he playing with these rocks? So he explains, it says, the work of your hands, that's what you shall eat. What's the lashon? Yigia kapecha, the work of your hands, the toil of your hands, that is what you eat. From what you eat. When we go to work, when we involve ourselves in business, to make money, to have a livelihood, to be involved in the world, to have Gashmias, so we could do it two ways. Either we do a Yegia Kapecha, Hainu Sharosh Nishar Panui V'Shakul B'Torah V'Avoda, that we just work using our hands, but our heads are still in learning, they're still thinking about Hashem, they're still thinking about what is Hashem's will for me right now. That's where my head is at. My head is thinking about listening to a shiur or whatever it is. I do what I have with my hands, but my head is still in the learning, is still in the avodas Hashem. Or Yagia Roishcha, or I put my whole head into it. His masters laparnasi ba'ifin sha'afa roish shakul b'davar. Oh, what's the strategy and how do I do it? And it's late. Oh gosh, and it's gonna be this and it's like I'm getting my parnas and I'm getting my avoda in the world is now coming up to my head and I'm now like that's where my head's at. My head's at with my parnasa. My head's out with the gashmias. My head's out with strategizing, with figuring things out. How am I gonna make this deal work? V'zeu perish yigia kapecha kisoichol ashrecha v'toiv lach v'lo rak beruchnias elagam begashmis ki ribuya is chakmus v'tachlus b'nei parnasa enamel muma. All of our strategizing and all of our things with parnasa do not help. Wise people don't have bread. We see that sometimes those strategies and all those things are actually going to make a problem. Yaakov knew he was going to Lavan Ha'arami, right? He knew who he was going to. He knew what his future father-in-law was like, who his uncle was. The Yadash Hasham Yitzchak Laver Parnas Elza Lavan Ha'arami. He knew he was going to have to work very, very hard. And even on the way, there was already threats and danger. He made a boundary around his head. That they shouldn't come to his head. What? Shehein tirdois halicha b'derech hein v'avodas atzalav and kloimar hein achanas leparnas hein es askus v'parnas atzma yasu bigias hayadayim bilvad. He wanted to protect his head. It's a very important yesod. He wanted to protect his head. That his work and all of his avoda and all of his parnas and all of his struggling should just be from the neck down, just in his hands. It's just what he's doing with his hands. His mind is not this. You know what this is like? When we I'm thinking now. Maybe you'll agree that when we fought Amalek, we got out of Egypt, and Amalek attacked us. And remember, Moshe Rabbeinu was holding up his hands, and it says, and it's actually a Mishnah, but it says that the Jews, when they looked up to the hands of Moshe, they were victorious, and when they looked down, when Moshe Rabbeinu lowered his hands, or when he looked down, they lost, they were losing, and so they needed to prop Moshe Rabbeinu's hands high, so the people could still look at it. So what's this looking up? So this is a way to fight a war? That's what was going on. They were looking up Moshe Rabbeinu's hands and fighting the war. That's when they were winning. When they were this, they were losing. But when they were this, they were winning. This is exactly the point. When we're involved thinking that we are the ones that have to make it happen and do it and make it go, and this is going to work because this and because I did it this way and because and when I reply this way, then they're going to know this and he's thinking this and I'm going to and it's so you're totally wasting your life, okay? But when you're doing this, that I really know, I'm just using my hands. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know. Okay, obviously, if you're a bricklayer or something like that, you have to look, you put the bricks down. Okay, but I'm just doing that. Okay, if it's a little off, it's a little this, I could do it. But my head is not involved. Okay, buy low, sell high. What else do you need to know? That's it. Being so involved in the business in your head is a recipe for disaster. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're here on the world for. To get our heads involved in the business, to get our heads involved in the gashmias, in the strategizing, and the what's going to be. That's not the way to build a Jewish world, a Jewish family. To be up here with the business, here with the business, here. Hashem's taking care of everything. I know that. Hashem is taking care. What? I have to clock in. I have to write a few emails. I have to make some calls. But that's it. I'm not getting emotional. My head, I can sleep at night. I can learn. I realize that it's just the work of my hands. all my chachmas and all of my education and all of my, great experience it's nothing. I never made $1 in my life. No one ever made $1 in their life. Hashem gives you your parnasa, period. So get it out of your head. So that's what Yaakov was doing. He was building this. He knew where he was going. He was going to work. He was going to be toiling, and he needed his head protected. This is not about my plans and my fantasies and my strategies and my chachmas and what my chap is. It's minas. I'm just going to work with my hands. My head's going to be, Hashem's taking care of me. Hashem's making this work out. Hashem has all the power. I am not in charge. The Rosh is what's in charge. So if your Rosh is the business, then you say you're in charge. You say you're in charge. You got to figure it out. You got to make it happen. You got to make it work out. You got to make it work out? Avodah Zarah. You have to make it work out. Your parnasa is going to come to you because Hashem gives you parnasa. We don't make parnasa. We make hishtadlus. We don't make parnasa. And Yaakov Avinu understood that as soon as you start thinking that you make parnasa, you are in trouble. So Yaakov Avinu, he davened, and then he did a maisa to really protect his head, which was another tefillah in a certain sense, that my head should be out of the business. Where should my head be? Hashem is the Rosh. Hashem, he's the one who knows what's going on. My head's connected to him. Everything else will work out. Just like the fighting while looking at Moshe Rabbeinu's hands. Does this really make sense? It doesn't really make sense, but that's fine. My head is out of it. My head is out of it. This is, again, we've left the yeshiva. We've left Egypt. We've left Pesach. We're heading to Purim. What's right? That's what we're doing, right? We're talking about how these two parts of Yaakov's life are Am Yisrael's, right? First, in the yeshiva, in the Matan Torah, in Eretz Yisrael, with miracles, with the Beis HaMikdash, and then darkness, out, Lavan, out in Gullus. Okay? So what is our success? Where Hashem is still in the Rosh. I was going to say something else, but I lost track of it. Okay. Fine. Clear? Okay. Right. This is what we need to learn for ourselves. When we go out in the world, our head needs to be protected, and that our parnasa should just be al pi shulchan aruch. We should make sure that we use our head enough to know that we're following halacha. We're not stealing. We're not stealing from our boss. We're not stealing from anybody else. But that's where our head's at. Am I doing Ratzon Hashem right now? Do I need to be involved in this, or should I learn? Should I get angry at this guy, or should I not? Should I maybe pull a little funny business with the taxes? Because or like how much tzedakah, how much chaimish, how much this? Do I have to? Is there gnevus das? Is there bribis? Is there this is where our head is at. Our head is at. Do I see that there's no power here but Hashem? Am I getting worried that this guy has money he's going to take away from me? Am I calling a guy because if I don't make this sale, I'm not going to make money? Ki'ilu, it's up to me and this person. He ripped me off. He ripped me off. He ripped you off, huh? Okay. So you think that he has power. So again, where is our head? Where are we being led by? Okay. And that's why he did this. That's why Yaakov Avinu covered his head. Now the question is, why did he use stones? Right? A stone doesn't talk. Right? A stone, handy. What?
They were handy.
So nothing.
A lot of rocks around here.
A lot of rocks, yes. But he could have used.
Got it from Mike the Pillow Guy. He could have used what?
Well, he takes this rock and he says this is going to be for the Beis HaMikdash, right? This is going to be he pours oil on the rock, and this is going to be like the Beis HaMikdash. What are we saying with all of this? You go out in the world, you don't want the world to negatively influence you, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to go out in the world and be in the world like when Hashem is breaking everything and splitting the sea and giving us the Torah miracles in the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, so you need a real big Yetzer Hara to fight against, to challenge that. But minastam, like in general, you're pretty much on track. Hashem's showing you everything. But when everything's dark, when everything looks normal, when you're clocking in 9 to 5, and where is Hashem anyway? That is when we need to. That's where we need to kind of we need to be protected. We don't want the world to say, "Oh yeah, Taka, it is the water company that cut off my water, and it is my next door neighbor who got that injunction on me building my sukkah porch, and it is my landlord, and it is my this, and it is my and then the world has infected us, the world has influenced us, and we're no longer we've lost our way. We've lost our way. If we're not seeing that Hashem is really the Kol Yachol, the one who's doing everything, the one who we're in a direct relationship with, the one that we're mul, we're with Him, that's what we're trying to eke out of this world. We're trying to, while we still have this darkness, while we still have the choice, we're doing our darndest to make this place a dir b'tachtonim, by keeping our head connected to Hashem, to realize that whatever I see that looks different, it's all Hashem. There's nothing else but Him. This rock will end up being, this rock symbolizing, it's not how I feel, it's not how I, it's not my regesh, it's impenetrable, it's a rock. You gotta have the rock, you gotta be like a rock. You gotta be like a rock. That's what it's saying. It doesn't move by itself. Somebody else has to take it up and move it somewhere else. Right, it's not like he didn't, whatever, any other type of material that, like a tree, it moves a little bit by itself. Plants do have some kind of movement capability. So this was no movement, right? No one's moving you. That's what the rock is. He's saying, I'm like a rock, Hashem. You want me over here? You pick me up, you put me over here. You want me over here? You pick me up, you put me over here. You tell me, where should I go? And my feet will go where you want me to go. My hands will move where you want me to go. And that's what it is. Hashem is the Rosh. My head is connected to Hashem, what Hashem wants. And the rest, my parnasa, my ishtadlus, it's just from my hands outward. And that rock, vaschar, and the schar for this, the consequence for this is va'evan hazois asher samti matzeva yabeis elokim. This rock that I use to protect my head, to keep me out of the world getting inside me and thinking that there's really it's up to me and I have to, and it's on me or it's on other people or whatever it is. That rock that kept me connected to Hashem, that will be the Beis Elokim through this whole lo kesef, lo zav, avanim pshutim. V'yiseirim is simple rocks. Even more than this, afilu lo avanim shebeir, avanim shel beis Moshe. We're talking about the avanim in the fields, not even chashav avanim that are found inside the city. Yaakov was in the middle of his journey here, and this is where he says there's going to be a Beis Elokim. How is there going to be a Beis Elokim? How is there going to be a Beis Hamikdash? Al yidei zeh shekif atzmo tchila b'avanim, that he protected himself with these rocks. Al yidei zeh sheskashel Hashem, he connected himself to Hashem. By a neder, sharizeu, he made a neder, he made a vow. Sharizeu gam in yanu shel neder, shagam I mitzad retzonu sichlo vehergish shelo. Right. Even though why is he making a neder? He's making a neder because a neder sticks. Even though his mind and his heart and his feelings and his opinions, they may fluctuate. I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling like Hashem's running the world today. I'm not feeling like that today. I don't feel Hashem is everything today, Or, I don't know, such bad stuff happened. Maybe Hashem really isn't. And I start getting a seichel doubt in my mind. These are things that fluctuate. The rock is something that does not fluctuate. And so that's what we're saying. He made a neder and he said, I don't care how I feel. I don't care how I think. I don't care what things make me think or feel like in this journey. Even though my will, my intellect, my feelings is something else, lo hayos davar. I'm not going to do anything. Hari a neder machrichai. The neder is going to make me do it. So a neder is a protection. A neder is kind of like a geder, like a fence. A neder that even though I'm not feeling it, I made a neder to protect myself, so that even in the day that I'm not feeling it, I have a neder to keep me in line. And that's going to make the Beis Elokim. Okay. So just 2 points. 2 points I just want to say here. So that we're saying over here, let's see. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So this is how Yaakov Avinu was able to survive in Galus, right? This is Yaakov Avinu going out Vayeitzei Yaakov. He went out to work, went out to engage in the multiplicity in the world. He went out to engage in the Gashmias. And he did this from a place of making sure that his head was completely insulated, that his head was completely connected to Hashem and stayed connected to Hashem, and his business in the world and in making money and building a family was just Yegias Kapecha. It was just Yegias Kapecha. At least the Parnas and the Shtadlus was just Yegias Kapecha, and his head was somewhere else. His head was connected to Hashem, and that is what protected him. And this is the guide. This is the guide. This is the plan. This is Yaakov's journey here, first in the yeshiva and now in the real world. This is the plan of the Jewish people. This is the history of the Jewish people. First, we're getting out of Mitzrayim, we get Matan Torah in the base of Mikdash. Everything's so nice, everything's so sweet, and then we get kicked out, and we have to go out into the real world with our Torah. We have to go out into the real world. Vayeitzei, we have to bring out. What was Yaakov's main parnasa? How did Yaakov? What was his parnasa from? What was his parnasa from? Tzon. That was his parnasa. He became a very, very wealthy guy. Very wealthy from tzon. Tzon. What's tzon? Tzon is sheep. Tzon is sheep. Tzon also is the Rebbe Lashon Tzadi Aleph Nun from Tzeis. It's this work of being in the world and pulling out the divinity, pulling out the light, revealing the light, pulling it out. That's tzon. What's also tzon? Tzon is sheep. What are sheep? I know as Republicans, like being a sheep is like the biggest insult you could give to somebody. You're a sheep. You're a sheep. Well, what if I told you that there's a midah of being a sheep that's very important to Yiddishkeit? We should be a little sheep. We should be a little sheepy. We should be a little like, what is a sheep? They don't care. They are the most docile. They just do what the Roa says. They just go where the Roa says. Right? There's a medrash that says Hashem hu li la'av ani lo leben. Hashem is like a father and I'm like a son. Hu li l'roya ani lo l'tzoin. He's like a shepherd and I'm like his sheep. Usually you want to like go higher, like he's my father and I'm his son. He's my master. I'm his chauffeur. But what? Like that? That's not going up. That's going down in personal connection. Okay, but the son with the father is like two different people. Like you're you and I'm me. You're my father and I'm your son. I inherit things from you and but I'm the ben. The tzon, you're my shepherd and I'm your tzon. Meaning I don't have a reality. My reality is because of you. It's because of you. I don't have, this is the tzon, the sheep, the bittel, I look at the world and I say, Hashem is here and he's telling me what to do. I'm following him from a place of not because I feel like it, because it makes sense, because I want schar, because I want to, why is the sheep following the tzon? Why is the tzon following? Why is the sheep following the shepherd? Because this is his shepherd. He goes where he goes. He's not thinking, if I would go over here, maybe it would be a little better. What does this Roa know what he's doing? I'm going to do over here. We go where the Roa shows us. Right? Al mei menuchos yina'aleni, the shepherd, right? Hashem roi lo echsar, I will not want. This is Yaakov going out into the world. He became like Bill Gates. Lahavdil elef Abdullah. He became like Elon Musk. He became like what the Ellison, he's Jewish. With sheep, because there was a bittul. And bittul doesn't mean that you are a robot, right? Bittul doesn't mean that you are a sheep. that you don't have any feelings, you don't have any thing to you. It just means that what is bittul? What is bittul? What is bittul? I just want to share this idea and then bring it into one last idea about Eretz Yisrael, because there's a big Eretz Yisrael piece here that I don't want to pass over. What is this idea of bittul? The idea of bittul, and this is again, what was Hashem's purpose for creating the world? What was Hashem's way of creating the world? We don't know what Hashem is, okay? But what he can do is he can make light and he can restrict light. Or and tzimtzum. These are the two things that Hashem can do. Or and tzimtzum. So, or the light and the constriction of the light. Okay? Or in the constriction of the light. So what's pshat? Pshat is I look, and the restriction of the light is in order for the light, right? Hashem has to restrict the light in order that I can deal with the world, think of myself as an other, think that there are individual things, and despite that fact, realize it's all Hashem. Go into the multiplicity, go into the Gashmias, go into the world, and be able to pull out oneness of Hashem. It's all Hashem, okay? So, bittul is seeing one thing, but believing it's something else. That's bittul. Bittul is seeing one thing the way it looks and not relating to it the way it looks, but the way that you believe it to actually be. It doesn't look that way. It doesn't look like Hashem is running the world. It doesn't. It doesn't look really like Hashem is running the world. It looks like everything has, I pick this up, I drop it, gravity, that's it. It's not Hashem, it's gravity, right? The money comes into the account because the computer worked and because the bank let it. Nothing to do with Hashem. If I have $0, I'm in a $100,000 overdraft, right? It looks very scary. It looks bad. Bittul means I don't worry. Bittul means I don't worry because I have nothing to worry about, because bittul means despite the fact it looks scary, sad, upsetting, difficult, it looks that way. It looks like Hashem is not here, that you are on your own, that you've been abandoned, that you've got to make it work yourself, that you can't rely on Hashem. You don't relate to that. That's bittul. Bittul means I don't care that it looks like that. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what the doctors say. I don't care what it says on the computer about how much is in the account. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me because Hashem is controlling the world. This is keeping our head protected. This is keeping our head protected. This is bittul. Bittul means I go out in the world. It looks like our love and our rummy is going to... But you put love in our rummy, and it's like Trump and Trudeau. There's no way Trudeau's going to have a chance next to Trump, right? There's no way. He's an idiot. He's such a doofus, and Trump's a wily guy. So Yaakov Avinu is going to go to Lavan's house and come out with a shirt on his back. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's only because Yaakov didn't relate to it as if there's really Lavan, and you better watch out for Lavan. Lavan has all this power to... Sown. He was batal to Hashem. He knows that Hashem is taking care of everything, that Hashem is showing, if he's just connected to Hashem, he knows Hashem will let him know the right way to go about things. He doesn't have to figure it out himself. He's mavatal. What it looks like I got to do it myself. Looks like I got to figure it out. Looks like I'm in trouble. Your mavatal is, no, Hashem has got it taken care of. I feel good. I'm going to do what's right. I'm not going to have to steal. I'm not going to have to this. I'm not going to have to that. I'm not going to have to get all yelly and pushy. I don't have to do any of that because I know what's really happening. I know what's really happening. Okay? It's like somebody coming with a vaccine, let's say a good vaccine, okay? There's such a thing. And it's coming with a vaccine and me saying, no, this, it's like coming with like this big pokey thing and I bust, beat them up and leave. Like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You have no idea what's going on. It looks like one thing's happening, but you have no idea what's going on. That's what you have to be mavatal yourself. You have to be mavatal. You have to nullify your common sense. Well, this is how we do things. No, we have to. We gotta do it. We gotta strategize. We gotta, figure it out. We gotta be sneaky. We gotta because we gotta do it. Oh, the money's not coming. I gotta call them 15 times. I gotta get on this. I gotta do this. Because otherwise, What are you running? Your head got in it. Your head got in it.
So we should have taken the COVID shot just because God runs the world, and
No, I'm not. I didn't mean to say anything about vaccines in general. I just meant how things look like a baby.
Yeah.
A baby cries when they get a vaccine. Is the mother cruel? The mother's not cruel. The mother's not cruel.
Thank God wasn't, but they could be. Mothers can be cruel.
But usually they're not cruel when they're giving a vaccine.
True.
Even if they are uninformed about how dangerous vaccines are, it's not that they're being cruel. They may be ignorant, if that's your... but they're not cruel. So while it looks one way, it feels one way to that baby, they have to be mavatal how it feels or how it seems or what it looks like. And that is our job. That is how Hashem wants a dir b'tachtonim. In the world that ein tachton mimenu, that there's no world lower than this world. There's no world that's more physical and more separate than this world. And this is where we need to fight to bring Hashem into this world by suspending reality in order to live in reality.
Okay, so I'm not trying to make this into a vaccine conversation, but
thank you, because I really don't care about vaccines.
I don't either.
Okay,
but just how to approach the God is running the world. Would you say, okay, so the world wants me to take a vaccine, but God's running the world, and He's put in my body anything that I need, so I don't need to take that vaccine? Or is it God's running the world, and He's presented this vaccine for everybody, and so I should take the vaccine? I mean, how do you?
You ask a Rav. You figure it out. You find what the halacha is. That's why we have halacha. I don't need to figure it out. There's halacha. Halacha tells me what to do. Okay. You have differing opinions. If you follow halacha, there's always different opinions.
That's your bittul.
Exactly. You're mevatel yourself to what the halacha is. There's a halacha in everything.
You're going to a higher authority there at Hashem. You answer, but it's still not bittul. It seems like it's not bittul. It seems like you're making a qualitative choice.
You're trying to be mevar what Ratzon Hashem is. You have to figure out what Ratzon Hashem is. As soon as you figure out and do what Ratzon Hashem is, what's the bittul about that? That's ultimate bittul. You're doing what Hashem wants, not what you want. Not what you would think, not what you would want.
How would I know what Hashem wants?
So that's why you're in yeshiva and you have verbatim and you have to figure out what Hashem wants.
I have two rabbis that I respect very much, and one of them said absolutely do not take that shot, and one said Salaka, you have to take the shot.
Well, then you have to go to a third one. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do at that point. Ask one of them. Ask both of them. What do you do? You told me yes. You told me no. What should I do?
Okay.
I don't know. Every situation.
I'm using that as an example of how to approach the lecture that you're giving. I don't want to make it a vaccine conversation.
And so the answer is just you follow what the halacha is. I don't know. So you're saying there's a halacha quandary. There've been and there will continue to be halacha quandaries that we don't have to get like emotionally invested in. We just figure out what does Hashem want from me, and until it's clear, you don't do anything.
Okay.
I have a great little story.
Well, before the story, let's just wrap up this last thing, and then they can just wrap it up. And then you can tell the story. Is there? I just wanted to mention. I didn't want to pass this up, but Yaakov Avinu, he sleeps, right? He sleeps with the rocks, and then Hashem, he wakes up, and Hashem promises him the place that he's laying, right? A place that you're laying. It's going to be yours for your kids, right? He promises them Eretz Yisrael. And over there, Rashi brings. He changes from the Gemara, but he brings that he was saying basically that just like you're dwelling on your 4 amas here on the ground, it's going to be Eretz Yisrael is going to be as easy for your kids to conquer the land of Israel as if you were just sleeping. This 4 amas, right? It was so easy, your kids are going to inherit the land that easily. They're going to inherit the land that easily. And we talked about it a few weeks ago about the difference between when we came up for the first time to Eretz Yisrael by Joshua and we fought versus when we came up in Olei Bava after the first exile. We came up to build the second base of Mikdash, and there we just walked in because we had the consent of the ruling authority of Persia. And they said, you can go back and build the base of Mikdash. And we just walked in. And that we see the Kedusha that came about from that settlement in Israel, lasted even after the second base of Mikdash was destroyed. So that being let in by the Haskama and the permission of the world is a much greater acquisition, because we're just coming in and it's ours because of who we are, not because we had to fight for it, not because anything like that, but just of who we are. And that's what he's talking about. He's saying, Yaakov, your kids are going to inherit this land easy, just like you laying on the ground on this. You got this plot. Hashem was makapel. He folded the entire Eretz Yisrael in Yaakov Avinu's Daled Amos as a siman, to say that just like you slept here and you laid here, no problem. All your children are going to be able to inherit the entire land just as easily as that. How? So the Rebbe says, the first Rashi in the Gemara, the first Rashi in the Chumash is, why does the Torah start here? Why does the Torah start with the creation of the world? It should start with the mitzvahs. It's the book of mitzvahs. It should start with the mitzvahs. He says, no, it starts here to tell you that Hashem created the whole world so that when the Goyim come and tell you, you guys are listim, you guys are robbers, you stole this land. And the Rebbe has a whole long understanding about how to understand this Rashi. But at the end of the day, what we say to them is, Hashem made the whole world, as it says in Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'ha'aretz. And if he wants to take some plot of the world away and give it to us, that's his ability to do so. And that is why it is ours, because Hashem made the whole world and he gave us this piece of land as an internal inheritance. When we say those words, it will shut the Goyim up. They will say, oh, really? The Rebbe says, let me just read you the words. It's fascinating. I feel like we need to call up all these influencers and just have them say these words, because basically he's saying it basically just like, and he says it's marumas. There's a hint to the fact that we've got all these Jews now that it's like they don't believe it's an eternal inheritance. They're the ones who don't believe it's an eternal inheritance. The Jews. Okay. When we say this tviyah, when we make this claim, what do you have this land, what are you doing? You're genocide. Hashem made the whole world and he gave us Eretz Yisrael as an internal inheritance. What do you want from us? What do you want from us? What's your right to this land? I don't know. God gave me this land. What do you want? He created the whole world and he gave us Eretz Yisrael. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I can't help you. We would love to live in Uganda. It doesn't matter. Hashem gave this land. What will happen? Shari abriya kulam yusedes al kol mashabara kadosh baruch hu lo bara davar echad levatala. He didn't create anything stam. V'alachas kama v'kama davars sheshem aram is the love. Hashem made this. Okay, fine. Hold on one second. Where does he say it? It's really such a beautiful move on. She'im raknem meris shuva zulu masoilam. If we just say this answer to the Goyim, bofen haroi lemesiris divrei v'shlichus hakadosh baruch hu, we do it in a mechubadik way. We say this tefillah to the Goyim, betoikef hamatim in proper cadence and power. Kach shiargishu hashoimim shedvarim yotzim min halev, that the people who hear understand that it's coming out of the heart. Mevatal hadavar lagamrei es uram. Their whole balagan completely nullified. Shalom Yisrael. It'll be completely nullified. So that's what we should know. We should know that Eretz Yisrael is going to be with ease. With ease.
It didn't sound like at ease. It sounded like you had a little bit of reservation behind what you just said. You're saying that you got to have, with ease would be, I can say, listen, God gave you the world, that's it. But according to what you said, it sounded like you got to have your heart behind it. It's got to be said in a certain way. That's not at ease.
If somebody says God created the whole world, if a Jew said, if what's his name? Let's see, even Ben Shapiro, if he got up and he said to all the people, or if David Friedman or Fleur, all these different people who get up and speak, and they said, you know why this is our land? Because Hashem made the world, and He gave us this land. If somebody is going to say that, they're obviously going to be meaning that, and that's going to be heard from the heart. And meaning, it's not like you say it in a flippant way. He's just saying you say it in the way that is fitting for such a statement to be said, and that statement alone they'll say, okay, you got it, come in, you got it, that's it. Oh, it's because of that? Okay, fine, we're done.
Well, I would
Enjoy.
think you would need to ask a question prior to stating that. That question would be, do you believe in God?
Doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. He says when we come to the Umas Ha'olam with such a tviyah, just with our mouth, then that will neutralize their taina. Their taina, the Umas Ha'olam's taina, is basically is almost a backboard for us to. This is where we have to shoot to. Where we think we need to shoot with guns. We think we need to keep fighting for it. But really all we need to do is open our mouth and say, no, this is ours. Hashem gave this land to us. The Torah is true. Hashem gave us this land. You all believe in the Torah. He gave us this land, and that's it. This is our land. And if we say that, I don't know. I mean, that's the answer. That's the answer to the that's the final solution. That's what he says is the final solution. That's how we will inherit this land, like was promised to our father Yaakov. Easy. And that's really the final redemption. The first, again, we keep going back to this middle, to the micro, to the macro. That what we're seeing with the Avos and with Yaakov is the story of the creation of the world and the creation and the history of the Jewish people. And the end of the Jewish people will be, you will get this easy. You don't need to fight. Because the ultimate redemption is the revelation of the intrinsic relationship between us and Hashem. That it's not because we earned it. It's not because we did something. It's not because we yes did or not did or good or bad. No, because that's who we are. We are Hashem's people. We are this people that He chose, He gave the Torah to, and that ultimately, the revelation of that throughout the world will not have to come through war or fighting, because it contradicts it. What?
Convince them.
Right, so we have to convince ourselves. When we can say that with a full heart.
Who's saying it belongs intrinsically to us so we can walk into here?
Hadvarim
is fighting to say you don't belong there.
Hadvarim sheyotzim min halev nechnasim al halev. Things that come out from the heart, they will be heard in the heart. And so in Bezrat Hashem we should see Mashiach Tzidkenu B'mheira B'yameinu and this taina being said and the miracles that we will see in Teva, in nature, that will follow from that. Bezrat Hashem.